based on a shark, and this is their all-new 7 and 8-seater. Now Mahindra say it's a huge step forward. It's a new engine, a new chassis, a new design, an all-new interior. Is it that big a step forward? We are at their Chakan plant to get you a first look. But before we go any further, be sure to like and subscribe. Tell us what you think of the Marazzo in the comments and click the bell icon to never miss a video from Autocar India. Now, as I've said earlier, Mahindra say this design is inspired by a shark. Must admit, the Marazzo's cab-forward mono-volume silhouette does taper nicely towards the rear. The robust stance, the nicely bulging wheel arches, the beautifully sculpted sides, the floating roof and the flush-mounted windows make it look very sophisticated. The door-mounted wing mirrors are a modern touch, and what also gives the design a bit of agility is the rising beltline and the chrome highlight. There's also a narrow band of black cladding running around the bottom, which makes it look less bulky. The tail lights are nicely styled, if a bit oversized, and the chrome bar brightens up the rear. The tail lights, however, don't extend across the hatch like they do on the Innova, and this could have reduced the bulk of the rear. Up front, the high-mounted headlights are nicely proportioned, if a bit small, and the grille with its anodized elements looks nice, but the Marazzo doesn't have anywhere as strong a nose as the Innova Krista. But there's more to it than just the design. The Marazzo has a lot of new tech under the skin. For one, there's an all-new front-wheel drive, transverse engine, body-on-frame architecture, which is unique. And 52% of the Marazzo's body in white is made out of high-strength steel, important for future crash test norms. So inside the Marazzo, and there's an interesting blend of new shapes and traditional proportions. Well, this lacquered bit here that runs right across really does stand out, as does this touchscreen, which is frameless. There's another color screen here which gives you a lot of information. You can scroll through it like that. Fantastic. And there's this aircraft throttle-like handbrake lever. It's a bit fiddly to use at times, but it is different and nicely executed. Now, the armrests here are practical, but there is a bit of an ergonomic issue. Your hand can get stuck. Still, there is nice stuff like this rubberized cup holder, probably the perfect place to keep your phone. Lots of USBs. Of course, carried over stuff is there, like this HVAC control, and some of these switches, they are from earlier Mahindras as well. The superbly finished front seats have good lateral support. They are big enough for large frames, and finding a good driving position is easy. And this version of the Marazzo has individual or captain seats. So in the second row of the Marazzo, and as you can see, even when the seat is pulled all the way forward, there's a decent amount of legroom here. What I can do is that, and then of course the space is just massive. There's good thigh support, it's a nice long seat. The shoulder support isn't brilliant, but what you do get are two very clever features. One, this sun blind is very effective in our weather, and you also get this big AC unit up here. You can use it in two different ways, direct and diffuse, so it's not blowing down on you hard, and that's smart. Now in the past, some of Mahindra's seat folding mechanisms haven't been the slickest, but watch this. Just one touch, two fingers, and that's it. Also, this car, this 7-seater, is a bit easier to get in. And once you're in the back, yes, you are seated a bit low, but comfort here isn't too bad. There's a good amount of headroom. You have your vent right here. There's a cup holder. It's pretty decent. The backrest, however, is a bit upright. The floor isn't flat in the back, and then there isn't too much luggage space, especially if you are 6 or 7 passengers. Under the bonnet, there's a new 120 horsepower 1.5 litre common rail diesel engine, which uses a variable geometry turbo. And it comes with a new 6-speed manual gearbox. Since we had the track to ourselves, Let's check it out. So, first impressions of the Mahindra Marazzo. Question is it really a Mahindra? Well, it certainly doesn't feel like one. It doesn't feel heavy. It doesn't feel difficult to drive. It feels light, easy, effortless, nicely built on the inside. It truly is a big step forward. And as I drive it more and more, well, the impression keeps getting stronger. Take this engine for example. It's a little gem, this 1.5. Now I'm at around 12 or 1400 RPM. I'm in third and I put my foot down and it just goes. Well, that's the variable geometry turbo working for you, and the engine pulls strongly all the way till around 3600 RPM. And what's even nicer is that if you keep it in this band between 1500 and 3500 RPM, it's silent, it's smooth, and it just pulls beautifully. It isn't as impressive, however, when you try and extract maximum performance. Post 3500 RPM or 3600 RPM, power tapers off sharply, and it actually makes no sense pulling the engine all the way to the red line. So if you are in a hurry, there's no real sense of urgency here, and the Marazzo only appears to gather speed in a relaxed manner. So overtaking would need a bit of patience, and that's especially true if the Marazzo is loaded with 6 or 7 passengers. That said, however, the last 500 or 600 RPM does get a bit noisy. Mahindra have also done a super job at making this car light and effortless to drive. This is true of the clutch, which needs almost no effort. The gearbox is light, accurate, and very direct, and the steering too doesn't require much effort. Straight line stability is so good, it gives you tremendous confidence from behind the wheel. You can just carry on at a good speed and not have to pay attention all the time. The other good thing is that when you come up on a corner, you don't need to slow right down. You don't need to stand on the brakes. You can carry a bit of the speed in, you can turn it at a fair amount. And this means you can drive it more naturally and hold on to a bit of speed as you enter a corner. The presence of a heavy ladder frame, however, does affect low speed ride and cause some amount of movement and lumpiness. But as speeds build, it smoothens out and ride is pretty flat. But since Mahindra's track has very few bumps, the Marazzo didn't get a chance to display just how well its tall springs and aluminium suspension arms would have worked. There's little doubt the new Marazzo is an all-new level for Mahindra. Expected to be priced between 11 and 16 lakhs, it is sophisticated, refined, light and easy to drive, and even has a cabin that's a big step up on anything Mahindra has done till date. Yes, it needs a bit more power and performance, and there still are a few ergonomic issues in the cabin. But even as things stand, the Marazzo is Mahindra's best car yet. It is well engineered, feels right straight out of the box, and is so well rounded it bodes well for Mahindra's future models. All in all, a big step forward.